Hey, imagine you're setting up a new workstation and you've got that nagging feeling that a monitor this big could either be a game changer or a pricey paperweight. I've been talking to a lot of friends who are juggling both creative work and high frame rate gaming, and the big question keeps surfacing. Do I really need a 39-inch OLED with a 5K2K resolution, or am I just throwing money at a fancy spec sheet? If you're standing where they are trying to decide whether this monitor is the right fit before you spend a chunk of cash, stay with me. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the size and shape matter more than most people think. A 39-inch curved panel gives you an ultra-wide field of view that feels almost like a cockpit. For a video editor who wants to line up multiple timelines, the extra screen real estate translates to fewer tabs and less scrolling. For a competitive gamer, that curvature can actually help keep peripheral vision on target, but only if you sit at the recommended distance around 3035 inches back. The downside? If your desk is on the smaller side, you'll need a sturdy stand or a wall mount, otherwise the monitor's weight and the curve can feel top-heavy, and you might end up with a wobble that distracts from both work and play. What really differentiates this model is the OLED panel. OLED delivers what LG calls perfect black because each pixel can turn off completely. In practical terms, that means you'll see deeper shadows in a dark indie game or when color grading footage at night, without the gray bloom you see on typical LCDs. The VISA DisplayHDR True Black 500 certification backs that claim, and you'll notice the difference immediately in scenes with a lot of contrast, think space shooters or cinematic footage with a lot of night lighting. The trade-off is that OLED can be prone to burn-in if you leave static UI elements on the screen for long stretches. In real life, many users report that occasional UI elements like a fixed chat window don't cause a problem if you dim them or use screensavers. Still, the risk is something to weigh if you're a streamer who keeps a ticker or a developer who leaves IDE panels static for hours. Another headline feature is the AI upscaling to 5K2K. The monitor claims you can feed it a 4K game and it will upscale to its native resolution without needing a GPU upgrade. In my tests, the upscaling does give you a crisper image, but the effect is most noticeable on titles that already have high-resolution textures. For older games that are naturally lowers, you'll still see the pixelated edges. OLED can't create detail that isn't there. So the upscaling is more of a nice-to-have than a must-have for gamers who already own a top-tier graphics card, but it does help content creators who are working with 4K video and want a sharper preview without having to render at 5K. If you're a creative professional photographer, video editor, or 3D artist, the 143 PPI pixel density gives you a lot of room to see fine detail without having to zoom in constantly. I tried editing raw photos of a cityscape, and the monitor's color accuracy felt spot-on out of the box. The 4th Gen RGB tandem OLED delivers a wide color gamut that covers almost 100% of the DCI-P3 spectrum, which is a real advantage when you're matching colors for print or broadcast. The practical strength here is that you can trust the monitor for color-critical work without spending hours on a calibration suite. However, because the panel is so dense, text at small sizes can look a bit cramped if you haven't scaled the UI. On Windows, adjusting text scaling to 125,150% resolves the issue, but that also reduces the effective screen space for multitasking. Now let's talk refresh rate and response time. At 165 Hz and a 0.03 milliseconds gray-to-gray response, the monitor promises buttery smooth motion. In fast-paced shooters like Valorant or Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, you'll notice the reduction in ghosting compared to a standard 144 Hz LCD. Coupled with NVIDIA G-Sync and AMD FreeSync Premium Pro support, you're essentially covered no matter which GPU you run. The practical nuance here is that you'll need a GPU that can push enough frames to actually hit 165 Hz, otherwise you'll sit at a lower refresh rate and not fully benefit from the hardware. For someone with a mid-range GPU, the monitor will still look fantastic, but you won't be exploiting its top refresh potential. Who should buy this? If you're a content creator who needs accurate colors, deep blacks, and a massive work surface for timelines, this monitor hits a sweet spot. It also suits gamers who want the immersive feel of an ultra-wide screen without sacrificing competitive edge, provided they already have a high-end GPU and are comfortable sitting a foot or two back. On the flip side, if you're a typical office worker who just needs a 1080p screen for email and spreadsheets, the price tag is hard to justify. Likewise, if you have a small desk or